Hi again, and it's Storytime with Sharon. I've been so looking forward to reading this story, and today we're going to be reading Funny Bones, all right? I hope you're sitting comfortably. Get ready, get comfy. Okay, get your jiggles out, and let's begin. Okay, this is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. Down the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. Down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, there was, can you guess? Some skeletons. There was a big skeleton and a little skeleton. And can you guess what other skeleton? It's a dog skeleton. One night, the big skeleton sat up and scratched his skull. What shall we do tonight? He said. Let's go and take the dog for a walk, said the little skeleton, and we can frighten somebody. Good idea, said the big skeleton. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark cellar, walked the dark, dark staircase into the dark, dark street. They walked past the houses, they walked past the shops, they walked past the zoo and the police station and the park. Can you see? The big skeleton scratched his skull. What shall we do now? He said. Let's play on the swings, said the little skeleton, and throw a stick for the dog and frighten somebody. Good idea, said the big skeleton, and that's what they did. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton walked around the dark, dark park, past the dark, dark tennis court, and up to the dark, dark swing. The big skeleton and the little skeleton played on the swings. They threw a stick for the dog skeleton. Suddenly something happened. The dog skeleton chased the stick, tripped over a park bench and bumped into the tree. What do you think's going to happen to the dog skeleton? What do you think's going to happen? And ended up in a little pile of bones. Can you see that? Look at that, the big skeleton said. He's all come to pieces. What shall we do now? Let's put him together, said the little skeleton. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton together began, and they sang a song while they did it. The toe bone connected to the foot bone connected to the leg bone connected to the hip bone connected to the backbone. And they carried on singing. They got some mixed up. Is that a toe bone? Said the little skeleton. Where does this one go? Said the big skeleton. Look. Woof. Woof. Oh, he's a little bit mixed up there. When they had finished, the big skeleton said, That dog looks a bit funny to me. So he does, said the little skeleton. We've got him all mixed up. We've got his tail and his head on the wrong way. Look, can you see him? At last, the dog was properly put back together again. The big skeleton and the little skeleton sang another song. These bones can bark again. These bones can run round the park again. These bones can frighten people in the dark again. The big skeleton scratched his skull. That reminds me, he said. Let's do it on the way home, then, said the little skeleton. Good idea, said the big skeleton. I wish we had a nice little boy to frighten. I wish we had an old lady to frighten. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark swings, went out into the dark, dark town and tried to frighten somebody. The trouble was, there wasn't anybody about. Everyone was in bed. Even the policemen in the police station were in bed. Even the animals in the zoo. Of course, the skeleton animals were awake. Can you see all the animals? Can you guess which animals they are? Can you guess this animal? Yeah, it's a giraffe. Can you guess what this animal is? That's a pig. Giddy up, Nellie, the skeleton said. Good evening. Oh, who's a cheeky little boy then? Have a cup of tea. Pretty Polly, put the kettle on. Mother, said the parrot. Let's have a ride on the elephant skeleton, the little skeleton said. Let's have words with the parrot skeleton. The big skeleton scratched his skull. Let's keep out of the way of the crocodile skeleton, he said. Oh, look at that. When they were back in the street and when they still could not find anybody to frighten, the big skeleton said, What shall we do now? The little skeleton scratched his skull. Let's frighten each other, he said. That's better than nothing. Good idea, said the big skeleton. So after that, the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton. The little skeleton frightened the big skeleton. The big skeleton and the little skeleton frightened the dog skeleton. And the dog skeleton frightened them. Can you see them all hiding? Ooh! Help, said the skeleton. They hid around corners. They frightened each other. They climbed up lampposts and frightened each other. They jumped out of dustbins and frightened each other's. See that? All the way home. And that is how the story ends. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. Down the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. And down the dark, dark staircase, there was a cellar. Okay? And in the dark, dark cellar, can you guess who lived in there? That's right, the skeletons lived. And they still do. Did you enjoy that, boys and girls, and parents too? I'm glad you do. Until next time, from me to you, stay in and stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.